Barcelona might have just pulled off one of the greatest bargains of the decade, because Joan Garcia, the £21 million signing from Espanyol, is performing like a £100 million goalkeeper. And no, that's not an exaggeration. That's reality backed by numbers, impact, and pure, undeniable brilliance.
Like the whole team, fantastic. So it's really to have him in the goal. It's really unbelievable. He's really fast. He anticipates every attacking from the opponents, and for me it's really good to have him. I'm really happy with him, and he saved also some situation for us, and it's good. It's very good to have him.
From the moment he stepped into Hansi Flick's starting 11, everything changed. Barcelona finally have a wall, a real shot-stopping monster, a goalkeeper capable of turning defeats into wins with a single impossible save. His reflexes are outrageous, the kind you only see once every generation, like the miracle stop against Rayo Vallecano, or the unbelievable reactions he showed against Alaves.
Oh, very, very good. He's very focused. He's, I think, in the right place here in Barca, and I'm really happy because it was an unbelievable save. And next situation was we scored the goal, was important. So this is always like that, and today we also did in the right moment the goals, and this is good.
Or those point-saving interventions against Newcastle that had everyone questioning how on earth he reached those angles. And it makes sense why Barcelona paid so much. Joan Garcia is now the third most expensive Spanish goalkeeper in history, only behind Kepa Arrizabalaga and David Raya. Yet somehow, he plays like the best of the three. His goals prevented metric of plus 7.49 is elite, a number miles ahead of Barca's three goalkeepers from last season. For context, Wojciech Szczesny, with all his experience, barely reached plus 1.12. That's the gap. That's the difference. That's the level Joan Garcia is operating at. He's tall, explosive, unbelievably agile, dominant in the air, fast in 1v1s, and insanely quick in reaction chains. But what truly separates him is his mentality. He is calm when Barcelona crumble, focused when the stadium shakes, and consistent in a team that has struggled with stability. With Joan in goal, Barca have 7 wins, 1 draw, and only 1 defeat, plus 4 clean sheets, all of them achieved only when he was between the posts. Barcelona have conceded 27 goals in 19 games this season, and just 9 of those came with Joan Garcia on the pitch. That's not luck, that's elite goalkeeping. Match after match, he gives Hansi Flick crucial points, saves Barca from collapse, and plays with the aura of a goalkeeper who should cost triple what they paid. This is why the Catalan club feel they've secured the present and the future, because Joan Garcia isn't just replacing what Barcelona lost, he's redefining what Barcelona should expect from a goalkeeper. And if market value meant anything anymore, Joan Garcia is already a £100 million keeper, one they managed to steal for just £21 million. To understand just how good Joan Garcia really is, we need to go back to where everything started. Salent, a small town in Barcelona where a young kid first fell in love with football without even realizing he would one day become one of the most outstanding goalkeepers in Spain.
Yo creo que todos podíamos imaginar la presión social que iba a tener, pero incluso, aún imaginándolo,
Joan Garcia Pons didn't even begin as a keeper. He played outfield until following the footsteps of his older brother pushed him under the post. From CE Salent to Manresa and then Dam, the foundations of his mentality were being built long before any scout knew his name. And then, at just 15 years old, Espanyol arrived. They saw something raw, something powerful, something uncommon. A teenager with leadership, calmness, and maturity beyond his age. A goalkeeper who didn't need to shout to command authority. By 2019, Joan made his debut for Espanyol B, and instantly, the club realized they had a gem. His first team debut came 2 years later in the Copa del Rey, and shortly after, he stepped onto a La Liga pitch for the first time against Elche, a losing debut on the scoreboard, but a winning one in terms of impressions. When Oyer Olazábal left in 2022, Joan inherited the number 1 shirt, and with it came responsibility that he embraced with frightening ease. His 2023-24 season in Segunda División changed everything. 12 clean sheets, Player of the Year, the hero of Espanyol's promotion via playoff, and national recognition. He wasn't just growing, he was exploding.
Que hay más, de su arroyo, Ander Martín, Ander, el zurdazo, que parada la segunda, Matos, doble paradón de Joan García en el 93-33.
Then came 2024-25, the season that made Barcelona turn their heads. Joan exploded in Primera División, keeping a clean sheet against Atlético de Madrid, delivering huge performances against Real Madrid, en La Real,
juega Susic, se mete por ese pasillo, parece que sale, se mete Susic, ¡qué parada! ¡Qué pie! ¡Qué salvajada de Joan García!
Winning 2 straight Save of the Month awards, and finishing the year as the goalkeeper with the most saves in the entire league. And this is where numbers separate hype from reality. 38 games, 145 saves, a stunning 74% save percentage, and a goals prevented figure of plus 7.49, meaning he saved nearly 8 goals more than expected, one of the highest marks in Europe.
Moltes gràcies. Bones sensacions, jo crec. Començar en un camp com aquest a Champions és complicat, però veníem molt mentalitzats, molt clar amb el que havíem de fer. Ens han apretat molt, però hem sabut jugar, ens hem sabut adaptar al partit i per sort hem pogut guanyar.
To understand the magnitude of that, Szczesny finished with plus 112, while Ter Stegen and Iñaki Peña were both in the negative at minus 2.06 and 2.014, respectively. Joan wasn't just slightly better, he was miles ahead of every Barca goalkeeper from the previous season. Even in raw shot stopping, the gap is brutal. Szczesny at 64.7%, Ter Stegen at 64.5%, Peña at 63.8%, while Joan stood at a towering 74%. He faced more shots, more pressure, more chaos than any of them, and still delivered elite numbers. Joan Garcia didn't arrive at Barcelona by accident. He arrived because he proved game after game that he is built differently. His story is one of challenges, rejection, late growth, and relentless determination. From Chelsea releasing Declan Rice to West Ham discovering a gem, football loves stories of resilience, and Joan belongs exactly in that category. Espanyol put him to the test like no other club could have, and he came out forged in fire. That's why Barcelona didn't just buy a goalkeeper, they bought a monster, a £21 million miracle who plays like a £100 million superstar. Now we must talk about what truly makes Joan Garcia special as a goalkeeper, the traits that separate a good shot stopper from an elite one. The first thing that stands out is the combination that almost no modern keeper has to this degree: raw physical presence and explosive agility. At 191 centimeters, Joan is big enough to dominate the box, but he also moves like a keeper 10 centimeters shorter. This duality is what makes him so difficult to beat from any range: close range shots, long range drives, tight angle attempts, or crowded aerial duels. He fits the prototype of the modern goalkeeper perfectly, and yet he goes beyond it, because what he does at full speed is simply absurd. You only need to watch his sequence against Osasuna to understand this. After a dangerous cross dropped behind the defensive line, Joan covered the entire angle at sprint speed, arrived 1v1 with the attacker, and literally took the ball off his head with surgical timing. And as if that wasn't enough, he immediately followed it with a perfect low pass to Ferran Torres, a ball played firmly, cleanly, and straight into midfield. In a matter of seconds, he showed reading, explosiveness, bravery, footwork, and distribution. That's not normal, that's elite. Then comes his second superpower. He reaches impossible angles. Because of his speed across the goal line and his minimal reaction window, he gets to shots other keepers simply do not touch. Last season, he was the goalkeeper with the most decisive saves in the entire La Liga, despite Espanyol being only the 4th highest team in shots conceded, meaning the volume wasn't crazy, but the difficulty was. Joan made the kind of saves that change games, seasons, and careers. The kind of saves that only a handful of keepers in Europe are physically capable of making. You saw it against Real Madrid, first stopping Rodrigo at the near post with a low reaction save that looked physically impossible, and then denying Mbappe with one of the most ridiculous stops of the season. Kylian's trademark inward curling shot, the one that looks like it's drifting wide before it bends into the top corner, is a nightmare for keepers. Juan read it, positioned himself perfectly, and somehow got fingertips on it. That's technique, timing, and instinct merged into one. Then there's the Julian Alvarez save, perhaps the best example of his reach and reflexes. Julian hit a first-time shot from almost the penalty spot, low, hard, and perfectly placed towards the post. 99% of keepers are beaten there. Juan wasn't. He exploded downwards like a spring and diverted it with feline reactions. And then the save against Girona. Outrageous. A close-range volley, struck violently from a few meters out, and yet Juan produced a single-arm block with absurd strength and precision to turn the ball away. And now with Barcelona, Juan has shown these attributes and much more, because in a bigger team, under brighter lights, his toolkit has expanded in ways that deserve an entire analysis of their own. Another key trait that elevates Joan Garcia into the elite tier is his brilliance in 1v1 situations and space reduction. This is where the modern goalkeeper lives or dies, and Joan thrives. He never hesitates to leave the 6-yard box when an opponent breaks through, and because he is extremely quick off his line, he shuts down angles before the striker even realizes the window is gone. What truly makes him special is the way he arrives in a balanced, wide frame stance, arms low, right foot extended laterally, covering both the floor and the near post in one movement. It forces the attacker to be impossibly precise and impossibly fast. His reads against Rayo Vallecano were textbook, first bursting out at the perfect moment the second he saw the striker slip behind Eric Garcia, stretching his leg at the final fraction of a second to neutralize the chance. And second, staying patient when he knew he could not rush out, holding his ground until the attacker committed, and then reacting with lightning speed to block the shot with his foot. Two different scenarios, two different decisions, both executed with elite clarity. Then comes Juan's reaction speed and recovery chain, arguably the trait that separates the great from the generational. He has the rare ability to make one save, fall, get up, reposition, and produce another stop within the same sequence. He reads stimuli as if the game is moving in slow motion. His save of the year and one of the most absurd saves Barcelona have seen in a decade came against Alaves. The way he read the broken marking line, sprinted at full intensity, and never paused for a single second until reaching the danger zone was surgical. He faced two potential shooters at once. The first attacker missed the contact by millimeters, forcing Juan to dive instinctively to block a shot that never came. The ball slid through untouched, only to be struck firmly by the second attacker, and Juan, still recovering on the ground, somehow lifted both arms and pushed it away. It was the kind of double save that rewrites a keeper's reputation in one moment. He had shown that same quality before, like the 1v1 stop against Harvey Barnes. Barnes beat Koundé cleanly with a run inside the box, setting up a close-range finish at the edge of the 6-yard area. Juan's technique was flawless. He widened his stance, opened the compass, held his ground, and rejected the shot with a perfectly timed leg block. In that same match, he produced another Barnes denial, this time using his arms, exploding forward at the exact second to smother the finish and remove all space. His reads, timing, and posture made those saves look simple, but they were anything but. Against Rayo again, he proved that good positioning is half the job. The first shot came at mid-height toward his near post, and Juan handled it with total calm, absorbing the strike without giving a rebound. Pure shot-stopping technique. Moments later, a two-phase attack forced him into a rapid recovery. He saved the first shot at his post, spilled it slightly due to the power, immediately sprang up, and blocked the second attempt that came soft but unpredictable. That sequence was pure instinct mixed with pure discipline. This is Joan Garcia in his in-the-box comfort zone. Always correctly set, always balanced, always reading the play a fraction earlier than the striker. It is incredibly difficult to catch him off position, and nearly impossible to beat him cleanly when the ball enters his area of control. No matter where the shot comes from, Juan is always there. Another aspect that is massively underrated about Joan Garcia is his ability on the ball. People have spent the last few weeks pretending he is shaky with his feet, but the numbers say otherwise. His passing accuracy sits at 67%, which is actually higher than Spain's own Unai Simon, who operates at around 65%. The real issue is not technical quality. Juan can strike clean, he can clip, he can play short and medium passes. It's that he simply wasn't used to finding solutions inside a high possession construction system. At Espanyol, he was never required to play 20, 30 meters higher, nor to constantly act as the first director of circulation. He is stepping into a completely different world now. Barcelona's structure demands a goalkeeper who defends huge spaces behind a high line, someone constantly ready to sweep long balls when the entire team is positioned in the opponent's half. It is a role that requires anticipation, timing, courage, and endless repetition. For a keeper who spent years defending deep, the adaptation curve is normal and predictable. The encouraging part is that this is the kind of habit that training accelerates quickly. All you need to do is look at how fast Szczesny adapted to playing higher during his early months at Juventus. The same trajectory awaits Joan. In fact, this growth has already started to appear in real matches. Joan has produced sequences that show he can operate as a true libero keeper, not just a traditional shot stopper. Against Rayo Vallecano, he played aggressively off his line, sweeping behind the center backs and even adding a touch of flair with a cheeky sombrerito before assisting Koundé. Against Levante, he pushed nearly to the halfway line to clear a long ball, movements that show confidence, clarity, and an improving sense of space. Little by little, you can see the Barca DNA sinking in. So yes, Barcelona's goal is secure, protected by a guardian who is a monster under the post and who is becoming more comfortable every week playing the Barca style. His ceiling hasn't even been reached yet.
Still a little bit fragile at the back, and Joan Garcia being called into action in really key moments to keep them in it.
And with Ter Stegen fighting to win back his starting spot, the competition is only going to make Joan even better. But the German won't have it easy, not against a keeper with this level of reflexes, this mastery in 1v1s, this dominance in the air, and this rapid evolution as a ball-playing goalkeeper. Joan Garcia's move to Barcelona marks far more than a simple transfer. It is the end of a 31-year drought between two rival clubs, and the sixth time in history that a goalkeeper has crossed directly from Espanyol to Barça.
Es un impacto que para mí hemos perdido a un portero de nivel top.
For a large part of the Espanyol fanbase, the signing felt like a betrayal, a painful reminder of the competitive gap that still separates both institutions. But when you look at Joan's trajectory, his ceiling, his statistical dominance, and the sheer magnitude of his talent, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Espanyol had become too small for a goalkeeper built for the elite.
Molts factors. Al final jo crec que ara mateix és un dels millors equips o dels millors projectes que hi ha en el món del futbol. A més, doncs, estic a casa meva. Crec que és un equip que avui en dia opta tot, ja tant per l'equip que té, per l'estructura que s'ha format. Llavors, tenia moltes ganes d'unir-me a un projecte així i què millor doncs, que a casa meva.
A player with his reflexes, his intuition, his shot-stopping range, and his potential to grow into a world-class sweeper keeper was always destined for a bigger stage. And when that stage is Barcelona, when the most demanding club in Spain knocks on your door, saying no becomes almost impossible. Joan didn't abandon Espanyol, he simply outgrew them. Barca offered him the environment, the coaching, the structure, and the pressure that a generational goalkeeper needs in order to reach the level his talent promises.
I think it's always not easy to bring someone new in the national team, but I think he's one of these guys who also for the future we will see in the national team. So, but it's not my.
Now, instead of carrying a team fighting for survival, he stands under the spotlight of global football, wearing a shirt that multiplies expectations, but also multiplies opportunities. The world is watching his gloves now. Barcelona didn't just sign a keeper, they signed their future.